60+ എന്ന സംഘടനയെക്കുറിച്ച് സാറൊന്ന് പറയാമോ?
ഞങ്ങളുടെ TKM 60+ അലൂമിനി അസോസിയേഷൻ 2010 രൂപീകരിക്കപ്പെട്ടത്. ഇതിൻ്റെ ഫൗണ്ടർ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ജേക്കബ് വർഗീസാണ്. 65 ബാച്ചിൽ നിന്ന് മെക്കാനിക്കൽ പാസ്സായ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു 10 പേരെ ആണ് മുൻകൈ എടുത്താണ് അദ്ദേഹം ഒരു റീയൂണിയൻ ഓഫ് ഓൾഡ് ഫ്രണ്ട്ഷിപ്പ്, റീകണക്റ്റിംഗ് ഓൾഡ് ഫ്രണ്ട്സ്, അങ്ങനെ ഒരു റീയൂണിയൻ മീറ്റിംഗ് എല്ലാ വർഷവും നടത്താനും പഴയ കൂട്ടുകാരുമായിട്ട് സന്തോഷവും എല്ലാം പങ്കെടുക്കാനുള്ള ഒരവസരമായിട്ടാണ് അങ്ങനെ ഒരു
TKM
എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗ് കോളേജിൽ 60 വയസ്സിനുള്ള മുകളിൽ പാസ്സായത്. അതായത് ഇനി ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഏകദേശം 600 മെമ്പേഴ്സ് ഉണ്ട്. അതായത് ആദ്യത്തെ 1962 ആദ്യത്തെ ബാച്ച് പുറത്തിറങ്ങിയത്. ആ ബാച്ച് മുതൽ 1986 എന്നുള്ള ബാച്ചാണ് ഇപ്പം 60 തികഞ്ഞവർ. അങ്ങനെ ഞങ്ങൾ 600 പേരാണ് ഞങ്ങളുടെ സംഘടനകളുണ്ട്. ലോകം മുഴുവനുണ്ട്. ഞങ്ങളുടെ അമേരിക്കയിൽ തന്നെയും ഓസ്ട്രേലിയ, സിംഗപ്പൂർ, കാനഡ, USA തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, UK, എല്ലായിടത്തും ഉള്ള ഒരു
എന്തൊക്കെയാണ് ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസ്?
ഞങ്ങൾ ചാരിറ്റബിൾ ഓർഗനൈസേഷനാണ് ബേസിക്കലി. ഞങ്ങൾ വർഷം തോറും ഞങ്ങൾ കൂടും. പിന്നെ കലാപരമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു വലിയൊരു എന്താ അന്നത്തെ ദിവസം ഞങ്ങൾ ആടിപ്പാടി എന്ന് പറയില്ല, ആടുക പാടുക എല്ലാവരും കൂടെ ഒരു ലവ് ഫീസ്റ്റ് പോലെയാണ് അതിൻ്റെ ബേസിക്കലി. അത് എല്ലായിടത്തും ഒരു വർഷത്തിൽ അവിടെ വേണമെന്നില്ല. ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഒരു തവണ ദുബായ് വരെ നടത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. അങ്ങനെയാണ് ഞങ്ങളുടെ. പിന്നെ എല്ലാ വിധത്തിലുള്ള ഏറ്റവും വലിയ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ 25,000 മാനവേഴ്സിൻ്റെ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് ഹോൾഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നവരാണ് ഞങ്ങൾ. ലോകത്തിൽ ഇതുപോലുള്ളൊരു ഡേറ്റ, അത് ഫ്രം ദ ഹൈറ്റ് ഓഫ് ദ യൂണിവേഴ്സ് ടു ദ ഡെപ്ത് ഓഫ് ദ സീ, എല്ലാ മേഖലകളിലും എക്സ്പീരിയൻസാണ് ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ ഒരു അസറ്റ് ബേസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. അത് ഞങ്ങൾ മിക്കവാറും അത് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് തിരിച്ച് ഞങ്ങളുടെ മാതൃ കോളേജിലോട്ട് TKMനോട്ട് കൊടുക്കും, ആവശ്യം അനുസരിച്ച് കൊടുക്കും. ഇനി ഞങ്ങളൊരു ഗ്ലോബൽ ടവർ, നോളജ് ടവർ ഉണ്ടാക്കാനുള്ള ഒരു പരിപാടിയിലാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ.
എന്താ അതിൻ്റെ ഐഡിയ?
പല ഫീൽഡുണ്ട്. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞില്ലേ, എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ, ഷിപ്പിംഗ്, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഇന്നത്തെ എല്ലാ ഫീൽഡും ഇൻക്ലൂഡിങ് AI, ആർട്ടിഫിഷ്യൽ ഇൻ്റലിജൻസിനും വരെയുള്ള ആൾക്കാർ പഠിച്ച് പാസ്സായ ആൾക്കാരുണ്ട്. ഒരു കൺസൾട്ടൻസി എൻഗേജ്മെൻറ്റിനാണ് ബേസിക്കലി. അത് ആവശ്യമുള്ളവർക്ക് കൊടുക്കുക,
ഫ്രീ ആയിട്ട്.
ഫ്രീ നമ്മുടെ കോളേജിന് കൊടുക്കും, ഞങ്ങളുടെ മെമ്പേഴ്സിന് കൊടുക്കും, ചാരിറ്റബിൾ ഓർഗനൈസേഷനൊക്കെ കൊടുക്കും. പിന്നെ അത് മുന്നോട്ട് പോകണ്ടേ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക്. അതിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടുള്ള മറ്റുള്ളവർക്ക് പ്രൈവറ്റ് പാർട്ടീസിനൊക്കെ ഒരു ചെറിയ, അതൊന്നും തീരുമാനിച്ചിട്ടില്ല. അതിൻ്റെ ആ മോഡലല്ല നമ്മുടെ പേയ്മെൻറ്റോ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള റവന്യൂ സ്ട്രീമൊന്നും ഞങ്ങൾ തുടങ്ങിയിട്ടില്ല ഇതുവരെയായിട്ട്. അത് ഞങ്ങളുടെ പ്ലാനാണ് അടുത്തോളം. ഞാൻ വൈസ് പ്രസിഡൻ്റാണ് ഇപ്പം. പ്രസിഡൻ്റ് ഡോക്ടർ രത്നകുമാർ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട്, അദ്ദേഹം കേരളത്തിലെ പല വ്യവസായ സ്ഥാപനങ്ങളുടെയും മാനേജിംഗ് ഡയറക്ടറായിരുന്ന ആളാണ്. ഞാൻ ഇപ്പോൾ താമസിക്കുന്നത് പാടിവട്ടത്താണ്. ഇപ്പം ഞാൻ നിൽക്കുന്നത് അസീസിയയിലാണ്. എൻ്റെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ ഫ്രണ്ടാണ് അബ്ദുൽ അസീസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ. ഞങ്ങൾ 50 വർഷത്തെ ഞങ്ങൾ ഒരുമിച്ച് ജോലി തുടങ്ങിയാണ്. 73 തുടങ്ങിയാണ്. അദ്ദേഹം ട്രിവാൻഡ്രം എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗ് കോളേജിലെ ആദ്യത്തെ 70 ബാച്ചിലെ ഇലക്ട്രോണിക്സ്. അദ്ദേഹം ഖത്തറിൽ പോയി ഒരു വ്യവസായം, അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഇന്നത്തെ ഒരു വലിയ അറിയപ്പെടുന്ന ഒരു വ്യവസായിയാണ്. പിന്നെ അവിടെ അദ്ദേഹം ഇലക്ട്രോണിക്സാണ് ഖത്തറിലെ ഒരു വലിയൊരു ഇലക്ട്രോണിക് പ്രൊഡക്ട്സിൻ്റെ ഒരു ഡിസ്ട്രിബ്യൂഷനാണ്. ഇവിടെ വന്ന് അദ്ദേഹം കേരളത്തിലെ ഒരു വലിയൊരു ഓർഗാനിക് വ്യവസായി. ഇന്ന് നമുക്കറിയാമല്ലോ, ഇവിടെ തന്നെയുണ്ട് ഓർഗാനിക് പച്ചക്കറിയും ഓർഗാനിക് പ്രൊഫഷണൽ സ്റ്റോഴ്സ്. ഇന്ത്യയിലെ തന്നെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ ഓർഗാനിക് പ്രൊഫഷണൽ സ്റ്റോഴ്സാണ്. വി ഹാവ് അറൗണ്ട് 2,500 പാർട്ട് നമ്പേഴ്സ്. പാർട്ട് നമ്പേഴ്സ് SKUs എന്ന് പറയും അതിന്, അവിടെയുണ്ട്. ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു വെളിച്ചെണ്ണ എടുത്താൽ ഒരു 10 ഐറ്റം കാണും, അരി എടുത്താൽ ഒരു 10 വെറൈറ്റി കാണും, ശർക്കര എടുത്താൽ ഒരു 10 വെറൈറ്റി കാണും, തേനെടുത്താൽ ഒരു 10 വെറൈറ്റി കാണും. ഇതെല്ലാം സർട്ടിഫൈഡാണ്, ലോകത്തിൽ നിന്ന് എല്ലായിടത്തും നിന്ന് കിട്ടുന്നത്.
ഇന്ത്യയുടെ എല്ലാ ഭാഗത്തും കളക്ട് ചെയ്യും.
ഇന്ത്യയുടെ എല്ലാ ഭാഗത്തും വേണ്ടി കർഷകർക്ക് പ്രൊമോഷന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ് പച്ചക്കറി.
ഓർഗാനിക് ഫാർമേഴ്സ് ഒരുപാടുണ്ടോ നമ്മുടെ അണ്ടറിൽ?
തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും അവരുടെ ഇത് ബേസിക്കലി തുടങ്ങി തന്നെ അവരെ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ്.
എത്ര ഫാർമേഴ്സ് ഉണ്ട്?
ഞങ്ങൾക്കൊരു 10-40 ഫാർമേഴ്സിനെ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട് ഇപ്പോൾ
ഇവിടെ കേരളത്തിൽ
തന്നെ. കേരളത്തിലുമുണ്ട്, തമിഴ്നാട്ടിലുമുണ്ട്. ഇതൊക്കെ ഓർഗാനിക് ആയിരിക്കണം, അതിൻ്റെ സർട്ടിഫിക്കേഷൻ വേണം, അതാണ് ബേസിക്കലി.
SKUs എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ
SKUs എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ യൂണിറ്റ്സ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മൾ പാർട്ട് നമ്പേഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഒരു യൂണിറ്റ് എന്നുള്ളത് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു തന്നേ ഉള്ളൂ.
അവരുടെ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് നമുക്ക് വിൽക്കാം.
അതെ, SKUs എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ക്വാണ്ടിറ്റിക്കാണ്. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു ഐറ്റം ഇത്രയും ഇപ്പം നമ്മൾ വേറൊരു സൂപ്പർ സ്റ്റോറിലൊക്കെ പോയാൽ നമുക്ക് ഓർഗാനിക് ഐറ്റം മേ ബി ഒരു 80-100 ഐറ്റം മാത്രമേ കിട്ടത്തുള്ളൂ. ഇവിടെ 2800, അത് ഓരോ വർഷവും അത് കൂടുമല്ലേ.
സാറിൻ്റെ കൂടിയാണ് തുടങ്ങിയതല്ലേ?
അല്ല ഞാനൊരു US കമ്പനിയിലെ 2021 വരെ അല്ലല്ല പൂനെയിലെ കമ്പനിയിലെ CEO ആയിട്ടാണ് റിട്ടയർ ചെയ്തത്. അന്നേരം എനിക്ക് ഇവിടെ വന്നൊരു അംബാസഡർ റോൾ ചെയ്യാനുള്ള വകുപ്പേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഞാനത് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. കാരണം ഒരു വലിയൊരു മിഷനാണ് ഇത്. ഈ ഓർഗാനിക് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നല്ലൊരു മിഷനാണ്. എൻ്റെ പേര് മുരളി, KG മുരളീധരൻ. ഫോൺ നമ്പർ 9823028801.
Evening. Wish you a very enjoyable evening here. We are going to learn new things here. Hello. First of all, let us welcome Dr. Narayanan from USA. So he will show us a new way of yoga. Because yoga, we know, we use for our all well-being. But measure what you have in your body. Then do the yoga, it will be more effective. That's what he is going to teach us. Now, also, I welcome Guru, Yoga Guru Sanjeev Krishna. He is from Kannur, but basically settled down in UAE for the last 14 years and teaching yoga in all of UAE. Already he has got 44,000 students in UAE. So big applause for it. So I invite Mr. Sanjeev Krishna Guru to introduce Mr. Narayan and give more information about this program. Thank you very much.
Good evening to all of you. First of all, I would like to thank Azeezia for the wonderful welcoming arrangements and the beautiful convention center that we are all here. It's a real privilege to be here along with all of you, and I thank you all for coming and attending this program. My name is Sanjeev Krishna. I've been in Dubai for the last more than 2 decades. And have been into wellness for quite some time. And we all know what is yoga. I think all of you know what is yoga, right? And there is something that we know that has to be beyond what we just think as yoga is all about. Yoga generally we think is exercise, isn't it? A form of breathing, a meditation. So before we get into something, I would like to just ask you to have an interaction, what you think about yoga. Today wellness is of great importance to all of us. You know why? Because the age has come. There are 3 levels of taking care of ourselves we need to do. One is, when we are ignorant about health, we automatically land up in crisis. Then someone has to manage. And if you're lucky, they manage. If you're not lucky, you land up in more problems. This is called preventive management. More and more knowledge about health and wellness. Each one of us should know about ourselves. If I do not know anything about my health, it's very imperative that I land up in crisis. So, knowledge on wellness and awareness is of prime importance. And if you really see, in a company or a country, there are different departments, and each and every department functions efficiently, the company and the country will grow. Yes or no? Yeah, I would like to have interactions. Likewise, in a family, every member, if they do their duties properly, the family will enjoy life. Agree? Now, what makes a family or a company or a country is human individuals. And in each and every human individual, there are 5 divisions. Teach you to stand or strain or call or kneel or nothing. The body is your teacher. Likewise, if you see, observe nature. So, how well we understand this breathing and how well we can modulate those stretches on a day-to-day life keeps you alive and healthy and kicking. It's very important. So, knowing these things and enhancing your life knowledge on your body, on your breathing, and if you are disciplined, your mind becomes your friend. If you are indisciplined, it becomes your worst enemy. Every day you think of New Year comes, you want to walk every day in the morning. The moment you get up, the mind says, I think you didn't sleep well. What will happen? You just sleep again. Discipline plays a very major role. That comes only with knowledge. So, I always say, and it's always imperative, we need to seek knowledge of how to sustain our life. One thing, we just finished our conference of Ayush in Dubai. I think all of you know. Ayush is a traditional form of healing, Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha and Homeopathy. They are all fantastic medicinal aspects of how you can take care of your bio-organic system. When we go to allopathy, it is required because we land up in crisis. There's no other option. But if you can take care of yourself by traditional treatments or medicines like Ayurveda and other things, we don't land up in crisis that much and your body does not get destroyed. So wellness plays a very major role by your awareness and your enthusiasm to gain more and more knowledge. So if you're happy, your family is happy. If your family is happy, you're happy. It's a process. So that's why this knowledge has been evolved. I would like to share and say, Dr. Rajan Narayani, we are lucky to have him here. He's from the US. He is very much on to understand the scientific aspect of how it can help a non-invasive way of treatment. And he has been doing fantastic researches. And he has come out with one module which is called the Measured Yoga Therapy. He's one of the person in the US called Life in Yoga, and he's the founder of that. And he's also been doing great and free classes for all of the people who are interested. So that's why it is more to give this knowledge and awareness that he is here and we are all here. Nothing to do with anything else. We just want to see the world becomes healthy. Wellness should become a daily portfolio. And this alone can prevail in this world to be happy. If your family is happy, your friends are happy, we are all happy, right or wrong? Otherwise we all feel sad. So, Dr. Rajan Narayan, he has an equipment called Measured Yoga Therapy. I think all of you know measured means we can measure. There is a biowell equipment, an instrument, wherein you can take the readings of your energy through the fingertips, through 10 fingers, and all the health parameters can be seen on the screen. Injections without any lab test, you can see all those things on the screen. And he has evolved certain procedures of breathings, vibrations, and certain stretches which can immediately be made to do by you all. And in a matter of 15 minutes or half an hour, again the readings are taken and we can see the fantastic changes of your organs functioning. Thereby, you know, it has improved with all minutest detailing on the subject. In that way, it's a very good way of helping people. And apart from that, not only to show you what he has done, but also to ensure in the society we give training to such people who are interested, so they can be a support system to the society. How do you think? It's a good idea, right? Very interesting, and I would like to, I'll not take too much time for this, but I would request Dr. Rajan Narayan to please come, and he will continue with the things. Before that, I would also say he is also the director of the Council for Yoga Accreditation International. It's an accreditation council where yoga teachers can take the accreditation, yoga centers can take accreditation, and together we all should join to make it a fantastic way of wellness to the society. Thank you.
Things within us. But we first need to understand the paradigm with which we work. Namely, if you know, we have Ayurvedic doctors over here, and how do Ayurvedic doctors measure you? They will typically measure you by taking 3 fingers and measuring like that, right? So they will classify over there your inherent nature, prakriti, and how you have changed your vikriti, and they will look in terms of how they look upon as the doshas, right? And of course, for Ayurvedic doctors, when they get into it, it is just not the 3, but 3 times 5, 15. There are 5 types of vatas, 5 types of pittas, and 5 types of kaphas, and based upon how you sense the movement, you decide which organ is going well and which is not going well, right? So, measuring with the 3 fingers over here, how is that done, and what is the understanding? The understanding of it is, all of us, before we get into this body with biochemical interaction, we are all vibrations. And where do the vibrations come from? The vibration comes from elsewhere. And once that vibration leaves, the body is dead, right? So, the vibrations that are there, of course, an Ayurvedic doctor can assess like that and know how you're doing. And the same 3 fingers are used by a Chinese traditional medicine doctor to do pretty much the same thing, but they don't say Vata, Pitta, Kapha. They will talk about the Qi and the Yin and Yang and things like that, right? But essentially they come at the same conclusion. So what we have today, as Sanjeev ji was saying, we have an instrument like this one. All this is a little box which will be connected to the computer, and inside over here there is a circular piece of iron which, when we click the button on the computer, becomes an electromagnet. And over that we have a piece of glass. You put your finger on the glass, and as you are there, we click the computer, it immediately generates a certain amount of voltage into the circular iron, and that basically makes your finger sitting inside electromagnetic field. So we have biomagnetism within us. And that biomagnetism is what an Ayurvedic doctor is measuring from the pulse, right? So by looking at the interaction between the electromagnetism of the electromagnetic field and the biomagnetism that you have, the interaction results in release of electrons that fly out. And when they fly out, those electrons are measured as photons. So we get a picture like an aura-like image of each one of the fingers. And according to Chinese medicine, the meridians, as they call, that are flowing in different parts of the hand, they can parse each aura into segments, and each segment corresponds to different organ systems. So in about 1 minute, we can read the 10 fingers very quickly, and 1 minute, you can have an understanding of the status of 41 organ systems for you, right? Mantra Javam, do a asanam or whatever, and immediately after we take the reading again, and if it is correcting whatever deficiency you have, then we know it is working for you. Any of the Ayurvedic doctors do that? You don't do that. So the only institution that I know that does that is Krishna Yoga Institution, where when they apply yoga therapy in Chennai, they are able to measure to see what changes happen. Now, it is not just any yoga protocol. If you took any medication, what is the effect of it, we can measure for you. And in fact, you don't even need to take the medication. If a doctor has prescribed a medication for you, before you get it into the system, you can simply keep it in your hand like this. One dosage is not enough. You should keep at least 10 dosages like this in your chest. And with one hand there, with the other hand you take the measurement, and then you switch the hand and take the measurement of that. It will actually tell you what will be the effect and side effect of the medicine on you. Okay? We can measure it. What is if you are thinking in some way, how your thought is affecting your entire nadis, we can measure immediately, right? So this is only one step. So in the vibration, and what is the vibration called in Ayurveda? Sukshma Sharira, right? So Sukshma Sharira, or what we call it as subtle body, is what you're looking at. And typically in Ayurvedic, protocol, you would say this is the Sthula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, and Karana Shariram, right? So the causal body. So now, typically, most people have no way of assessing the causal body, right? But then people who are highly evolved, people who are like yogis, saints, they can look at people and they can assess them, right? And then what do? They bless the person and it becomes alright, right? And the other, it is not so somewhere elsewhere. Actually, I can show you right here. Looks like this box looks like this, right? Yeah, that's fine. This box looks like this. I'm going to leave this all here if anybody wants to look at it later. And in this box, I can put anything related to you. I can put your DNA like a hair, or I can put a clipping of your nail. And right from here, I can measure all the way down to your DNA. Okay? Everything. By the way, I don't even need, for yogis like us, we don't need even your hair or this thing. I'll just think vibrations. Anybody? We have engineers over here, right? You know the idea of harmonic vibrations. Actually, in the field of industrial engineering, it is often used. If in a factory something is running and it's making a lot of noise and vibration, the machines that are there start moving. So even though they are all, fixed down into the ground and things, the vibration can be so strong that they can break the floor and things like that. So what do people do generally? They try to induce an equal and opposite frequency vibration in there to reduce that. So typically the sound levels are substantially reduced, But if you can find the perfect equal and opposite vibration, which is very difficult, then everything will become silent. Isn't it? So that's the idea of harmonic vibration. Now, how many of you have heard of transcendental meditation? Okay? So, what is it? Are you thinking of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi's TM transcendental meditation? Okay. So how does Maharishi Mahesh Yogi's transcendental meditation works? It actually works where each one of us, we are all programmed entities. When we are programmed entities, different religions, people call it different names. In Christianity, they call it your original sin, that by which you are born as a sinner, right? And in the yogic system, we say you come with your karmas and kleshas, right? So whatever you come with, these are all programs that are running inside you. And the programs, when they run within you, they create a little vibration, and then the vibration makes you who you are. The way you blink your eyes, the words you speak, whatever you do, everything in you is really the reflection. Think of it this way, with communication. So the underlying principle, this is an underlying principle in all systems. And the Ayurvedic people know this very clearly, because in Ayurveda they will say the communications are of 5 types. And those 5 types of communications are the 5 vatas. Whereas Pitta and Kapha cannot go and correct themselves, the communication that changes everything is the 5 vayus, right? So the thing is basically, in the allopathic system, the communication is happening with nerve response and biochemical reactions. Whereas the general concept of communication is, you have channels of communication, like nerves in the allopathic system, and maybe the blood and the entire hormonal and all the elements that are going on. And then the second element is the content or intent of communication, efficiency or coherence in communication, and energy for communication. This is the general concept how any healing works within any system. So now let's look at the different systems over here. The intervention in the allopathic world is either biochemical or surgical, whereas in the traditional medicine world, you also get elements related to detoxification, alignment of the person, and lifestyle elements like, making sure you eat the right kind of food at the right time in the right quantity. So in other words, what we say is, how to eat well is, you eat well with your full awareness within. So on a daily basis, if you are doing some form of meditation, you develop an awareness, you look at something, if you like it, you should eat it. If you don't like it, you shouldn't eat it. If you are hungry, you should eat. If you are not hungry, you should not eat. So you listen to your inner self. And so those are the lifestyle elements that come from a traditional medicine perspective. Then when we are talking about the zone of Tantra, we are talking of connecting into the cosmic entity with the idea of removing any conflicts with our cosmic purpose. Our hypothesis is that any lower communication element cannot, any communication element will impact the other 2 areas. However, the lower element may or may not be consistent with the higher elements, but the higher elements can always make the lower elements consistent with it, right? So our hypothesis is, this is the source of side effects that typically happens in modern medicine, whereas on the other hand, it is less so, but also in herbology, with herbal medicines, you could get side effects, okay? But it's much, much less. Whereas on the other hand, if you go into the zone of the healing with connecting into the cosmic intelligence, there can be no side effects whatsoever. So if you align your body, mind, spirit, and respect, have an attitude of working with life without thinking you're the doer. You're just let everything go through. Sometimes my good Nambudri friend, if you ask him, shall we do this or do that, he'll simply say,
So the thing is basically life should go like that, iota, right? So in other words, whatever flows, let it flow. Let's not fight life. Let's not say, I want this, I want that. Whatever comes, everything is fine. Okay. So, right? So it is the gene expression. The left side is your inner dimension. Right side is how we transact with the world, all the external element. And many of you can relate. Right from young age, you're told, you give and take with the right hand, not with the left. Right? Because that is the right side is how you transact with the world. So this is extremely important, because when people have led a bad lifestyle and when things have gone wrong and you have chronic illnesses, what we want to see is, we want to see the left side nadis to have a change, and a change for the better, in which case we know that the healing will occur. If the left side does not change and only the right side change, we know it is temporary solution. You know, like allopathic medicine, they want you to have the medicine lifelong for the condition, which means it's only managing the symptom, not curing it, right? So the left and right side are very important concept from a traditional medicine perspective. So I'm going to skip the entire research section. If any of you have questions, you can always ask me how various research have happened over the last 100 years that evolved all of these systems, and how we have worked with measuring the nadis and things like that. I'm going to skip it. So now this camera that I showed you, where we read like the aura of the 10 fingertips, right from that we get 41 organ systems like this. You can see the various organ systems here, starting from the head going all the way down to the immune system. Or something goes into the brain, you will get a stroke. Unusual case. And the unusual case was that we have a yoga teacher who is very conscious, everything is good, but this person's blood pressure had increased a lot. And what had happened was, when we looked at all of the things, we couldn't find anything in the system that basically told us what was going on for that person, right? Oh, actually I have two cases over here. Okay. So what happened was, then we used the machine I showed you, where we can connect into the cosmic intelligence, right? So that machine is called Metatron. So we used the Metatron to connect it, and we could see in her brain, you see the black spots over there, that brain, in the black spots, it is indicating for us that it is, the source of it is coming from the brain. Okay? Then in which case I had to go through a back and forth process with her. What is happening? Do you have any worries in your system? And she had a worry about one of her children, who, I won't even mention what it is, but the person had an orientation which she could not, reconciliate with her own religious beliefs. And that conflict that was there in the mind was creating that, and it was from the brain that was coming on. When such conflicts come, no other practice that we normally do for blood pressure can help, right? So what we had to do is, we want to cleanse the pathways with the Karna Sharira. For that, we do what is called chakra vibration, chakra cleansing. And so we did that. After one session of doing that, immediately the blood pressure fell by 30 points in the systolic blood pressure, right? 30 points falling down systolic blood pressure is immense, simply by doing some chakra vibration. So, so when we have difficulty, when we cannot understand why something is happening, we can go into, the only problem is when we go into several hundred, like you can potentially look at 900 elements, but we typically when we scan we look at 450 elements in that Metatron. But to look through 450 elements, it is like looking for a needle in a haystack. There is too much to look at. So it is not very convenient, but then when you read in this machine, the sinuses always shows as weak. At the same time, we see some mild weakness in the heart muscle, but no weakness in the coronary arteries. The coronary arteries are all very good. So there is no indication of all right. And then The number 5 is the vertical cross section. Number 6 is the horizontal cross section. And the horizontal cross section, you can see over there blacks and browns, right? So what is happening is, it is not the coronary arteries. It is the blood perfusion in the capillaries. So many of you probably don't recognize that the blood flow through the major arterial pathway takes you to all parts of the body, but they don't go to every cell. What goes into every cell is the capillaries, right? So the capillaries had the problem, and by doing a sound vibration, the capillaries open up, right? So this was something very interesting which we had seen. So the conclusion observation is that what we have is a whole structure whereby we can understand total human health, and we can understand the place of different medical systems. And the final recommendation for all of you is, if you can lead the right lifestyle where you are in sync with your cosmic purpose, what we call being in sync with your swadharma, your purpose of life, being in sync with that and taking things as they come without reactivity, being in harmony with yourself, eating the right kind of food, organic things that don't cause reaction within your system, then in which case that can be the best medicine. But on the other hand, if you need to take medicine, understand if you have had an accident where bones are broken or something has, the blood is bleeding or something has happened, for immediate, needs, this thing to plug you from losing your life when you're in that condition, modern medicine, allopathic medicine is very good. But for chronic conditions, allopathic medication can have significant potential for side effects, negative side effects. And whereas traditional medicine systems can find solutions that can be more in harmony with your your subtle and causal body. So those are all the potential, so you can understand how different systems work. So in effect, what I am talking about is a system of unified system of medicine. And the measured yoga therapy is how you apply it. But the key element of it is, even though we have so much knowledge, to bring it into the mainstream is very difficult. It is very difficult because it all started from the Western world, and the Western world, whatever they do, every other part of the world copies it, right? So what has happened is, the doctors have, the licensed physicians have the legal authority to do whatever. But by good grace in India, Ayurvedic physicians are completely recognized. So because they are recognized, for chronic conditions, Ayurvedic physicians may give you better solutions than you can from a allopathic medicine standpoint. But then, if there are deeper issues, even better than that is, today's Ayurvedic physicians, most of them are into what is called herbology. Herbology means if you go to an Ayurvedic physician, you'll come back with some kashayam or this thing and all of that you'll come back with, right? So what happens is, you'll never come back without a bag of medicines. In the chornam or kashayam, all of these things. So whereas that is not how traditional Ayurveda was. If we go back into traditional Ayurveda, it is said the medical system used to be, all the Ayurvedic doctors were paid by the kingdom. So in other words, they were the health officers of the entire kingdom when the kingdoms were there, when we talk about the ancient kingdoms of India, right? So they did not charge any fees when they consulted with the patient. Whereas 95% of the time they will say, they'll ask them, what time do you wake up, what do you do? They will tell them, change your lifestyle, wake up such and such, do these activities, eat this kind of food. So these are the lifestyle records that have come from this reading. This is a case of a 31-year-old lady, and this lady has what is called preventricular contraction. It is a form of a bad rhythm of the heart. It is in the general category of what is called arrhythmia, right? Arrhythmia means bad rhythm of the heart. It's considered if I use medical terms, I'll miss most of you. But any case, it's the nerve communication that stimulates and how they interact is called electrophysiology of the heart. So the thing is basically it is a wrong, the electrophysiology of the heart has gone wrong. So what happens is in modern medical system, if it becomes, first thing they will do is they will look to reduce the heart rate with what is called a beta blocker. And if that doesn't work and if it's still bad, they will use something called ablation. Ablation is they take probes in and they burn off nerve cells to change the communication. It's an invasive process, and sometimes they can go there showing the below par underactive reading, and then immediately after doing 10 minutes of practice, 5 minutes of Ujjayi pranayama and 5 minutes of Im mantra meditation, everything became all right. And after 7 weeks he reported he doesn't need the baclofen anymore, and his angina, as you said, from 4 minutes it would come only 8 minutes or so. Then after another few months he reported another week, all his blood pressure medication was removed. His wife is a doctor, blood pressure was going down too much, it had become normal, blood pressure medication gone, and then 4 months later his angina pain was gone forever. So you can imagine how it is, you can, with these kind of things. By the way, right now he is 87 years old, okay, and he is more energetic than he has been in the previous 10 years, okay, and the person does a lot of charitable work, and you know, as I said, his doctor, what he told him. So this is the kind of thing. Now hypertension is a very common problem, but what happens is the hypertension elements that impact a person, they vary a lot. And so typically, those of you who know, when people get the baroreceptors that you have in the carotid area, right? And of course you have the baroreceptors in the aortic arch as well, but the baroreceptors are like thermostat. Now for the non-medical audience, I need to say this in a different way. You see, typically when you are relaxed like this, actually, I don't know how relaxed you are, focused on the conversation, you know, what I'm telling you, but if you're perfectly relaxed doing nothing, 20% of your blood at any time is going to your brain. Your brain is the biggest single consumer of blood in your system. Why? Because every cell in the body, just like the brain cell, consume oxygen and glucose to produce energy, what is called cellular respiration, right? And the brain needs it, and it has the highest priority because the brain is the controller of all the vitality in every system in the body. And through the nerve signals, it is sensing how much is needed in each part of the body, and in order to do its control function, it basically takes the first priority is the blood for itself, and then using that energy, it is sensing every other part of the body and deciding which one will have the others. And the second priority, the brain realizes the brain will not get enough blood if the heart is not performing well, so the second priority is the heart, and after that all the other elements of the body, right? So if the brain is not, there is a receptor in the neck area that is sensing how much blood is going to the brain. That is what is called the baroreceptors, okay? It is like a thermostat kind of this thing. So when there is not enough blood going to the brain, then the brain will send the signal, increase the blood pressure so that I get more blood up. And it's not only the brain, the same signal can come from the kidney also. Why from the kidney? The liver and the kidney have a job of removing toxins from the body. Anytime you get stress, the stress hormones are toxins to the body. So for them to be actively cleared out, the kidney the kidney is the one filtering out all of this. So kidney is saying increase the blood pressure so that I can filter faster. And of course if it does it too long, filter that way, it functions like a filter paper. And so what happens is the nephrons in the kidney will get damaged. That is why when people have high blood pressure, they want to take care of the kidney also, and also prevent it from going, if at the end of the time, they will give herbal medication, and whatever they give as the herbal medication, they will take the fees for that. That's how it works. But because Ayurvedic system was always taught as a spiritual system, I don't know whether still in Kerala, in fact it used to be the case, Ayurvedic curriculum will never begin unless you first go through the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Is that the process still? No. The thing is, you see, that used to be the case. Without understanding yoga, you cannot learn Ayurveda. That used to be the system. And today's system, what has happened is, when the British and all these invaders came into India, and the basic traditional medicine system was destroyed, or then in which case the allopathic medicine, the English medicine, was being promoted. At that time, coming from the way in which it has been taught to Ayurvedic doctors that this is spiritual discipline, and all through fees was never transacted for consulting, right? So everything became that unless you give them medication and you make your margin over there as your fee, you will not be able to have a living wage, right? So essentially, this is how the modern Ayurvedic system became corrupted. See, today we talk of yoga therapy. There was nothing called yoga therapy in ancient times. It was an integral part of Ayurveda. So because Ayurveda has gone completely into herbology, now we are reviving the concept of yoga therapy as really a lifestyle element. And I hope that all of you here, and with such people as Azeezia, all of you can take this message, bring it to people, get people to learn this and to share this with more people so that we can help all of humanity. So with that, I will end over here. Thank you.
The two principal Hatha Yoga texts are called Hatha Yoga Pradipika and Gherta Samhita. And the other two reference texts are called Goraksha Shataka and Shiva Samhita. Right? So these are the basic texts with which people are looking at. Now the Hatha Yoga Pradipika and the Gherta Samhita, on Ujjayi Pranayam, they give enough instructions for you to understand the deeper level. What it's all about is, there is a visualization in Ujjayi where, now if I bring this I have to say a little bit more. Okay, I'll say a little bit more. You see, what happens is, the Nadi system we have in the body, if you read the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, they will say there are 72,000 Nadis in the body. If you read the Shiva Samhita, it will say there are 300,000 Nadis in the body. These kind of things are not particularly helpful. But the concept of the 5 Vayus are extremely helpful. So where do the 5 Vayus flow in the body? Okay? Now typically in the Ayurveda that most people learn, they will say the Apana Vayu is down below, the Samana Vayu is over here, the Prana Vayu is here, and Udana Vayu is here, and things like that, right? So the thing is, you see, those are all simplifications. And Dhyana is everywhere in this thing. That is not how to understand it. How we have understood it in the deeper element is, the Apana, there are 3 principal nadis, and from them come all the other nadis that go everywhere. So the most important nadi is along the spine. The spine and the brain together is called the central nervous system, and we call it as the prana nadi. And the central nervous system, if it gives way, the person is dead. Okay, because that's why when the person is brain dead, these days you can put a person on a machine for the heart and lungs to work, and it looks like the body is continuously working, right? But the person never wakes up. So the person is brain dead means the person is gone. Okay? So the prana nadi is the most important thing, and when the prana leaves, the person is dead. Right? So the next level is the Ida and Pingala nadi together, the internal element and the external working together, cause the communication to go to the middle of the body, and that is called the Sushumna nadi, and along that goes the Samana Vayu. Now, along the front part of the body, this is a different kind of a nadi, and you will never find this in the yoga books. It's part of the experienced tradition. It's called the Atma nadi. And the Atmanadi from the top of the head comes along the front of the body, going down, and this area where you feel the depression in the sternum over there, bottom part of the sternum, that is where we say is the Atma Chakra, or cosmic transmitter. And anybody here familiar with a Vedic hymn called Narayana Suktam? Nobody is familiar with it. Okay, that describes it. Okay, in the Yoga Sutra, it is only the word Hrit. Hrit means the hidden one is what it's called. So Hridaya, when it is said, people will often say it is the heart. When you say the hidden or the core element within, the heart of the matter means it is the core element of the matter, right? So people often look at the physical heart, but the spiritual heart is a different element. Where we say the Atma Chakra, where it resides, this is what is described in the Narayana Suktam, that if you stretch your finger like this with the thumb and the little finger stretching, you put it at the thumb at the Adam's apple and you stretch down, this is the place where you have Atma. So the way it is described in the Narayana Suktam is Sa Brahma, Sa Shiva, Sa Hari, Sa Indra, Sa Akshara, Paramaswarat. That is how it is described in the Narayana Suktam. Right? So the thing is, you see, the Atmanadi flows along here, then it goes down up to the navel, and this is where Atma Vidya resides. And from the navel, it goes back to the spine, comes down the spine till the sacrum bone, and then it projects into the pubic area. These are the areas of what is called the areas of Yoga Siddhis. Okay? So the three principal nadis, Prana Nadi, Sushumna Nadi, and the Atma Nadi, these carry the Pranavayu, the Samanavayu, and the Udanavayu, respectively. So where is the Vyana and the Apana, right? The Vyana and the Apana are nadis that comes out of the chakras that are there along the Sushumna Nadi. The Vyana connects into all the fluid elements of the body, and the Apana into the tissues, physical tissues. Okay? So now, when the Ujjayi Pranayam is done, the way it is described is, when you inhale, you should visualize from the Atma Chakra, it is going up to the head, and as you exhale, it is going down the Sushumna Nadi. But the way in which the breath has to be done is with the restricted breathing. So, to do restricted breathing, it has to be done in an easy way. So how can you train yourself to do Ujjayi Pranayam in an easy way? If you focus on your throat as you are right now, just close your eyes and focus on your throat, and now make a very big smile with the cheeks coming out. You will find a slight stretch in the bottommost part of the mouth, actually. That stretch is all that you need. You can feel it, right? That stretch is all that you need, and focusing there, if you inhale and exhale. Now, from a physiological perspective, now in the throat area over here, some of you may know, there are 12 nerves in the body, 12 peripheral nerves in the body that connect directly into the brain. These are called the cranial nerves, right? Among them, the 10th nerve is called the vagus nerve, and the 9th one is called the glossopharyngeal nerve, right? So what happens is, these two, when you do this stimulation like this, all the other nerves in the body connect into the spinal cord, okay? But 12 nerves connect directly into the head. 11 of the 12 are working from the head, eyes, and all of that till the throat. And the glossopharyngeal is coming till the throat. And the vagus nerve goes all the way down, okay? So what happens is, in the Ujjayi Pranayama, when we do this kind of breathing, from a physiological perspective, like anatomical physiological perspective, the glossopharyngeal nerve and the vagus nerve are stimulated. So when they are stimulated, what happens is, I'm getting into medical terminology and I'm going to miss a lot of you, but what happens is, I'll put it this way. The nervous system works on two-way traffic. It sends messages to the brain, and you get and the organ receives back from the brain, right? So what happened is the terminology used is efferent and afferent. Efferent communicates into the brain, afferent communicates out of the brain. So the glossopharyngeal nerve in the throat area is a efferent one that connects up to the brain, and the vagus nerve is afferent over there. Okay? But in the lower parts of the body, the vagus nerve runs further down. It is sorry, I made a mistake. The glossopharyngeal is afferent in the throat, and the vagus nerve is efferent here. And the vagus nerve is afferent throughout the rest of the body. So because the vagus nerve runs down so many places, when it affects the cardiorespiratory system, it affects the digestive system, it goes into the spleen, all over. So what happens is, afferent means it is able to send good messages to the brain. So because it is very effective in sending messages to the brain is able to know which parts of the body need more blood, and as a result of it, it has the most anti-inflammatory effect, right? So the Ujjayi Pranayama is very good for a variety of conditions. The Ujjayi Pranayama can be good for sleep apnea and snoring. It can be good for the inflammation in the respiratory pathways, like asthmatic kind of thing. It can be even as much as plantar fasciitis, which is inflammation in the plantar fascia at the bottom of the feet. Ujjayi Pranayama can be helpful over there. In certain cases of diabetes, where what happens is the nervous system and glucagon that releases, what happens, it's a strange condition. Some people who are diabetic, in the evening after their meal, 2 hours after, they will find that their postprandial blood sugar is looking good, okay? But they wake up in the morning and they do fasting blood glucose, it is gone. So what happens is, the nerve control is lost, and the liver throws up sugar into the bloodstream. And when that happens, it is really the nerve control actually stimulates the glucagon, and it brings the sugar into the bloodstream and kicks it up. So Ujjayi Pranayama can be very effective to control that diabetic condition too. So it works. Worried about anything for you, you are in good shape. Okay, so we'll close the system now.
Yeah.
So otherwise, nobody will go home today.
Thank you, sir.
You are welcome. Okay.